It's happening today, 12:30 Eastern, an hour later in that window because it's daylight savings time tonight in the UK, but not of course here in the United States, so this game kicks off a little later. Perfect lunchtime accompaniment, Arsenal against Liverpool, live and exclusive for you on 1 Hour Sports. One of the big storylines, of course, coming into this one, Nolan, is the amount of players that Arsenal are missing. Saliba is suspended. Saka probably won't make it injured. Odegaard, Timber, Calafiori. How do you look at it bearing in mind they're hamstrung by those 5 out? I look at it as one of the biggest tests of Mikel Arteta as managing your career at any point. Given the expectation, given how big this game feels, given Liverpool's start and where Arsenal are in relation to them and City and the fact that a lot of his team, his best players are out, Odegaard's been a big miss for a long period of time. I think you can see it in the playing. It's disjointed. It's not as silky. Saka, arguably again their best player, has been out as well in a back line that's going to have at least 2 different players in it.
So can Mikel Arteta find a team to win this game at home against a big rival for the title? So again, a proper test of his kind of coaching managerial skills right now. One of the biggest tests of Arteta's career at Arsenal. I can't disagree with him. I think the length of time that Odegaard's been out is a problem. We knew he was going to be out for a certain amount of time. The team coped with that, but you can kind of fill in gaps for a bit, and then all of a sudden you're playing against different types of opposition, and you need his cleverness to be able to work out how to win a game, and against the top teams that's even more difficult. So you need a higher footballing IQ, and he's top of the range as far as I'm concerned. Saka as well, we'll talk about Saliba in a second, but Saka as well for me is a game changer based on how he occupies the opposition players defensively and midfield. He drags players towards him, they double up on him, they have another cover on the inside because he likes to cut in on that left foot. So it takes 3 or 4 players around him when he gets the ball. That opens up the other side of the pitch. Normally Odegaard's there to be able to spray the ball out there. So the whole dynamic of the team has been changed by those 2 injuries. Now Saliba being out as well, and as you quite rightly said, there'll be 2 changes in that back line. You look at the table now and they've got 17 points. They need a win. They must not lose. Yeah, they definitely must not lose, but that win, they win all of a sudden you go, do you know what? They're back in it because they've got 20 points and they're right in their haunt again. If they lose, it'll be a very big blow for him. But back to Nolan's question there, if it's not a must, it's certainly a must not lose. Does that affect the way that he approaches this game? That's what I want to see tomorrow. Not to begin with, I don't think. I think he goes at it because the crowd won't allow, if they sit back and just wait, then it's going to be trouble. They're on the front foot when they play at home, so I think we're in for a cracker. It doesn't feel like there's much pressure on Liverpool's shoulders, an onslaught, and yet they're sitting second in the league, and if they get a win, they'll go top. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, we said about this next few weeks, there's going to be tests, and Chelsea was a test, and they found a way to win, but this is the biggest test, isn't it? Arsenal away, super confident right now, Liverpool, and the defensive record or the story of it is big. This is big. If they can continue this kind of, that means every goal is super valuable and they've got plenty of players to score goals. So that is a big deal, and it's a big if they can continue to be so great defensively. But if they do, they can totally win the league. It's the Liverpool midfield that we're going to talk about tomorrow, isn't it? Because I know you have some concerns in there where Liverpool are concerned. Well, alright, Liverpool and their key players linked away from Anfield and Arne Slot in the job he's done, Nolan. 10 wins in 11. Nolan made the point last night that, some managers might have come in and wanted to make their mark, stamp their authority on the team, shake up a bit. He's not done that. What does that say about the character and, I guess as well, the recruitment by Liverpool that they've spotted this guy and thought, that transition will be smooth with him at the helm? Well, it had to be right, didn't it, Nolan? And that's the thing, I think they didn't, plunge in to try and, just pick some. They've handpicked, haven't they? And, you do feel that they have got the right man at the bottom out. I think the fixtures have really suited him straight away. Did he have to change a lot? I don't think he really did. And that's why he hasn't. I think, if anything, they've been more solid defensively. I think after the Forest defeat, where they quite easily could have won the game, that could have been a success of a 100% win rate. So what he's doing, he's come in and he hasn't had to change a lot. I think he will tweak things along the way as he can do. I think he's got a fantastic squad of players there. There's no doubt Salah's been absolutely brilliant so far this season. Again, I think, the only thing I'm looking at the moment is this contract talks of Van Dijk and the players that are out of contract. Salah, I think if he can get that resolved and get that sort of boxed off, I think then they can start thinking ahead of where they're going to be actually going and what they're actually doing. Because at the moment, they're sitting in a fantastic position in the league. I think with the key games coming up, Arsenal have got 3 massive games coming up. Are they going to be the one that's going to push Man City this season? Quite possibly. I mean, for the start he's had and the way he's gone about it, people are liking what he's doing, and it looks like he's enjoying himself anyway. So I think, it's all about keeping that momentum flowing, and I think they'll be there or thereabouts, won't they? I think they could be the side that could possibly push City this season. And Tim, on those 3 out-of-contract players in the summer, Van Dijk, Salah and Alexander-Arnold, is it any coincidence that Van Dijk is now speaking about possibly signing a new contract when they've won 10 out of their first 11 games under their new manager? And that helps. You're talking about 3 top draw players there who want to win trophies. They don't want to sit there and challenge for Champions League positions. They want to be winning stuff, so it helps. It can only help. I think with Trent, I think he's gone. I think once Real Madrid come knocking for you, and he's won everything at a football club, he's been a magnificent servant, but there's no chance they're keeping him now. I wouldn't suggest. Van Dijk and Mo Salah, I think it's completely different. I'm not sure where they're going to go better than Liverpool Football Club. If Van Dijk signs first, Job, does it make it more likely that Salah and maybe Alexander-Arnold follow suit? Yeah, I think there'll be a huge statement of intent in terms of where the club is. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the summer, Jules. I think you speak to a lot of Liverpool fans, a manager coming in having to replace an absolute icon, in terms of what he's done at that football club, revered not just by players but the whole city, really. And I think what you see now is someone who potentially could take that on, and he'll obviously want those senior players to help, particularly for the next couple of years, really get them on that way. So I think obviously getting Van Dijk down will be a massive statement of intent. I think it does sort of reverberate around the changing room as well. Some of the other players, right, let's get stay in, he believes in the manager. Trent, I'm not sure if he is gone. I've got to be honest, I think that sort of connection that he has with the football club, and again, it comes down to, are they going to be challenging for that Premier League? Can they go deep in the Champions League? I think if they can do that, then they've got every chance of keeping all 3. We've got a few minutes left of the soccer special just to reflect on what's happened in the Champions League tonight. Let's start with Aston Villa. They're top of the Champions League phase table. 3 wins from 3 clean sheets. Paul Merson, this Champions League larks, very easy, isn't it? He's at the moment for them. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal for them to start like they have. I mean, probably win 2 more games and they've 15 or 16 points to get through. So for me, you can't help but get through now, in my opinion. Outstanding, Bologna give it a go, but they've just got something about them at the moment. Villa, Rodgers was very good at times today, really good, and they will cause teams upsets. There's no doubt about that, and they're getting used to it, but it's a long way to go in this big knockout tournament, but can't moan at the moment. 3 out of 3, top of the league with the creme de la creme. Yeah, at Bourgeois next, and we've got Juventus coming to Villa Park. Then they go to Leipzig, go to the next 3 for them. And as you say, a couple of wins, and they're as good as through. And able tonight, we talked about the strength of the squad and how they'll need it this season. Able to leave out the likes of Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash, Luca Dean and Jacob Ramsey. Yeah, and all of a sudden he brought off McGinn as well. So yeah, they've got some good players. They're probably going to fall short, but if they can get in the top 4 and have a real good run, absolutely phenomenal. You've got Palace in the cup. Yeah, next week, Palace in the cup. The more they keep in these tournaments, the better it is for the other players that are not getting a lot of game time, and I think that's important. It's always nice to fall back on something as well, because seasons can change very quickly come what January. You can go bang while it crash, and you're out of 3 tournaments before you know it. So I think it's important for the Palace game as well next week to stay in the tournament. Yeah, really pleased to see John McGinn back in the team as well, and back with a goal. The captain getting the scoring underway tonight. So 3 wins from 3 for Aston Villa. Arsenal still yet to concede 7 points from their 3 games after their draw with Atalanta. After the weekend defeat to Bournemouth, Clinton, we heard Mikel Arteta say he wanted them to channel their frustrations into tonight and to put in a performance. Did they? It wasn't a brilliant performance, but I don't think you'd be worried about the performance. At this stage, it's about just getting no injuries, but Calafiori did go off with an injury which could be a bit of a blow for them for the weekend. Hopefully he's all right because they have no Saliba, but they should have won this game comfortably. They missed a lot of chances. Trossard misses the penalty as well, but in the end it was comfortable. Shakhtar Donetsk didn't really offer anything. In the second half they had a goal. Raya had to make a one good save, but other than that it was comfortable from Arsenal. I just worry about Calafiori because he kind of got a nudge, slipped over and he could feel his groin, and then he got up, carried on for a couple of minutes, and then went down again. So hopefully he's all right for the weekend. But that would be really significant facing Liverpool without Saliba, who's suspended, and if he's missing as well, and Timber, I don't know if he'll be back. Yeah, because he wasn't involved. Yeah, it does leave them really short at the back because Kiwior didn't have a good game against Bournemouth, made a mistake and then got substituted off after coming on. So yeah, it would leave them short. So they're just hoping all these players that have played this evening come unscathed apart from Calafiori. Might be a slight doubt, and then you hope they got the likes of Saka and maybe even Odegaard to come back on the weekend. We'll wait for an update on Mikel Arteta on that, which will come on 1 Hour Sports, if there's any news on Calafiori and whether he can face Liverpool in that big game on Super Sunday. Let's start though with news of Liverpool's captain Virgil van Dijk and his future. He's revealed he's in talks over a new contract at the club. His current deal expires next summer. Well, he's one of a number of high-profile Liverpool players whose contracts expire at the end of the season. Salah and Alexander-Arnold, the others. Well, as things stand, they'll be able to discuss pre-contact terms with overseas clubs from January. Van Dijk has revealed he's in talks over extending his stay at Anfield. This is what he's had to say. I can say, obviously discussions are ongoing, but I don't know. We will see what happens in the future. My full focus is on Liverpool, wanting to win games that are ahead of me and nothing else. What the future will bring, I have no idea at the moment. I can only tell you that discussions have been started up and we will see. Well, our chief reporter, Kavi Solikol, is here. Positive developments about Van Dijk, it seems, if you support Liverpool. What about the other two though, Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold? Well, look, if we're going to start with Virgil van Dijk, I think it's very good news if you're a Liverpool supporter. Because up until now, whenever Van Dijk has been asked about his future and contract talks, he's always sort of not given very much away. He's always said, no change in this situation, there's nothing to talk about. After yesterday's game against Chelsea though, he did come out and say that talks are now ongoing. These talks from Liverpool's side are being led by the sporting director, Richard Hughes. And I think Liverpool basically want their captain to stay. And why wouldn't you? Look, I can see he's 33 years old. Of course, he's not getting younger, but his age doesn't seem to be affecting his performances. So I think yesterday, from his own mouth, we got the first real indication that he may well be extending his contract at Liverpool. Okay, that's one down, two more to go. Mo Salah, is he staying? Liverpool fans want to know. Again, if I was going to put money on it, at the moment, I would say it's more likely that he will extend his contract at Liverpool. Now, everybody knows that he was close, perhaps, to moving to Saudi Arabia. We know that Al Ittihad had made this offer worth more than £100 million for him, but I think he feels that now is not the right time for him to be moving to Saudi Arabia. Now, the information I have from Saudi Arabia is, yes, of course, the Saudi Pro League would love to have Mohamed Salah playing for one of their sides. But I think they've learned a few lessons from what happened last time. I think next time round, when they make a move for Salah, they are going to make sure that he wants to come before anything is released publicly. So they have to get that sort of green light from him and his agent that he wants to go to Saudi Arabia before they put a deal together for him to move to one of the top clubs in Saudi Arabia. And at the moment, they have not had that indication from him. I think, look, he will go down as one of the best ever players to play for Liverpool. And I get the sense that his head at the moment is very, very firmly at Liverpool, especially working under the new manager, Arne Slot. And I think if he can extend his contract, he will. The issue with him, though, is I think he's the best paid player in Liverpool's history. So maybe that is going to be a big factor as well when talks start about him extending his contract. Okay, Liverpool fans loving you tonight. That's two in the bag. Trent Alexander-Arnold staying or going. Well, look, Trent Alexander-Arnold is an incredible player. And obviously he's significantly younger than Van Dijk and Salah. He's only 26. If I was a Liverpool supporter, what I would be really worried about is what is happening in the Spanish media and what is happening with Marca. Now, both you and I have been doing this job for a long time. We know how Marca operate. We know how close Marca are to Real Madrid. See that headline a couple of days ago in Marca. In Spanish, I think it says Trent Alexander-Arnold is not going to renew his contract at Liverpool. So basically, to me, it feels like Real Madrid are using the Spanish media again to build up a player potentially moving from their club to Real Madrid. We know Trent Alexander-Arnold is out of contract at the end of this season. I just think if Real Madrid want you, it's very, very difficult to say no. The other thing with Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, is that one of his closest friends, Jude Bellingham, is already at Real Madrid. So that may be a factor. So I think out of those three, if I had to put money on who's the likeliest to leave Liverpool at the end of the season, I would say Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think from Liverpool's perspective, they still feel that they can sign all three players onto new deals. But of course, the deals have to be right for the club as well as the players. And he's moved from 10th up to joint 9th in terms of all-time Premier League goal scorers, and he's starting to just creep in. I mean, the 200 is looking a little bit kind of hard to reach, but you're looking at the names above him, and he's getting closer. Well, you'll have an eye on Sadio Mane and Frank Lampard by the end of this season, I would imagine, and I think stats like this are one of the biggest reasons why Mo Salah will sign a new contract at Liverpool. Of course, they'll be talking about money and length of contract, but I think these are the things that really get the juices flowing for Mo Salah. He breaks all the records at Liverpool, but getting as far as he can up those lists, and you know whether it's that list or you know different ones, I think that's a big part of sort of his focus as a player. I'm not saying he's selfish, he's obviously a great team player, but if you are a stroker, individual records are kind of partly what you're remembered for outside of trophies. I think anyone who's an attacker who wants to be known as one of the best or the best, you have to be obsessed with things like that because you know your job is to score. Your job is to help your team win, and I think for him it's now to the point of legacy, and it's like, how can I add to my legacy? Come on, he's going to go down as arguably the best top three for sure, maybe in terms of Liverpool's history. Kyrie. You can let me know what you think of that. But you know, for me, I think he's going to add to his legacy, and that's what he wants to win trophies, of course. But I think as a human, I've seen him grow from, and Michael would say, maybe from Fiorentina, what his mindset was, but when I met him at Liverpool, I don't think he thought he would be where he is today. But I think as time's gone on, he's had that belief. His belief's grown and grown and grown to the point where now I think when he gets on the pitch, how he performs, it's like I'm untouchable. And I think for me, like looking at Thierry and those types of guys, players he's idolized as well. I do believe he's got an eye on him thinking, you know what, if I can go down as having more goals than someone like a Thierry Henry, come on man, and we look at him as the GOAT. I mean, the big debate is Douglas Gerrard, isn't it? I mean, Kelly O'Connell, what order? Luckily, I'm working on this side of the table. I have no preference, but officially anyway. I just don't know if we can get that list back up because I think what's so. Your wish is our command, anything for you, Michael. Just so remarkable from the days at Fiorentina, obviously didn't work out for him at Chelsea, but if you look at what the top five are, Harry Kane, Rooney Cole, strikers, Aguero, Lampard. We know the third man run Thierry Henry is one of the best, and now with the different systems for a right-sided forward to score that many goals, it just shows you what a machine he is. And at times, yeah, he can give away the ball sloppily and all that, but he's just so consistent in front of goal, and that sets him apart from some of the players in his position. You know, so you mentioned that you've got Frank Lampard in midfield. He's not an out-and-out striker at times. He does have to get back and he'll help the full back, so you know for a wide striker that's unbelievable. Because let me tell you something, see if Arsenal lose against Liverpool on the weekend and Man City go and beat Southampton, which we expect them to do, but you never know, it's a Premier League, the gap's getting bigger, and we know when the gap gets bigger. City don't drop points and Liverpool are flying at the moment, so it's a big football match this weekend coming. It absolutely is. Are Arsenal strong enough to stay in the title race? The reason I say that is, we saw Kiwior come on and then get subbed off, and you know, if they haven't got their first 11 on the pitch, is there a problem for Arsenal? Yeah, of course there's a problem because we know how important Gabriel and Saliba are. It's one of the best partnerships there is in probably European football. As a partnership, they're both outstanding. They complement each other. Kiwior, knowing Calafiori can play centre-half, but he's been playing left-back. These are the options for centre-half. One of these is going to play there. He's been injured, Timber's been injured, and that's the only thing. The only thing I could see, if Timber's fit. Calafiori will come into central half and maybe partner Gabriel, and Timber will go left back, or Ben White will go right back, or Ben White could come in and play central half. But I think Ben White's effective playing on the right and has a good understanding with Saka, who's hopefully fit for the big weekend. But if it's me, Calafiori comes into central half and Timber comes to left back, because I think he's a fantastic player, but he had a bad injury last year and he's obviously picked up a few niggles this year. But that's what happens, but he's a huge blow. He's one of the best centre-backs around and the partnership's outstanding, so it is a huge blow and Liverpool will exploit that. Against Liverpool. If Arsenal don't win this league, how much of an impact could that have on the ultimate title race? I know it's very early, but how much do they need this? You've answered your own question. When you say don't win it, they could draw it. Or do you mean lose it? I mean lose it entirely. Right, it's not great if they lose it, because then you're starting to, the two teams, that would be ahead of them. You're looking at those two and going, how many points are they going to drop between them? I think it's quite competitive at the top of the league, so there's a likelihood that Liverpool and Man City might drop points later on in the season. But even with 9 games gone at the weekend, with the possibility of injuries again, because we've seen, I really think that Odegaard is now. It's starting to tell on this team, creativity-wise, and you can't afford to do that again. I think the other team, you look at Liverpool's midfield, who is their best player. You're not quite sure who that is, but with Arsenal, it is Odegaard and they've missed him big time. And that is a concern for Arsenal fans because, all the big clubs get injuries. Man City, they lose 2 or 3 of their best players. They still don't look too different. They still have the swagger. They still win games very easily, where Arsenal have got to show us that. They've got to prove that. Defensively, it's going to be a concern for them in this game without Saliba suspended. Timber's not fit. I don't think, though he's a doubt, Calafiori looks like he's a big doubt as well, so it could be a different back four. I might get a game, you might get a game. But they've got to be at their best defensively because Liverpool have figured out where their balance is stronger defensively, and they've got front players, as we all know, that are in good form and can score plenty of goals. Gary Neville does not want to hear any excuses from Arsenal ahead of the Liverpool game, he said, and I quote, "Every club has injuries. Every club has players missing. I accept that they might not like the idea, as Bukayo Saka and Odegaard are obviously very big players and Saliba is obviously out with the self-inflicted red card. But I'm not accepting any excuses ahead of Sunday. I'm expecting Arsenal, who finished above Liverpool last season, were 8 games in, to basically go out onto that pitch thinking they should win that game. That's what I'm expecting. They've got to change their mentality from a team that are coming second and they're a really good side. They've made great strides to a team that are going to win the league. They cannot do anything other than go and win that football match. We start though with a stunning performance from Barcelona, who have hammered Real Madrid 4-0 to go 6 points clear of their great rivals at the top of La Liga. 17-year-old Lamine Yamal once again showed why he is regarded as one of the brightest talents in world football by becoming the youngest player ever to score in El Clasico. Kylian Mbappe thought he'd scored his first El Clasico goal with a deft dink, but VAR ruled it out for offside, Barca's high line doing its job. Real were caught offside 8 times in the first half alone, and after the break Barcelona got their orders. Robert Lewandowski gave them the lead. Lewandowski then stunned the home crowd with a second goal just 2 minutes later, much to the delight of his boss Hansi Flick. He headed it in, didn't he? Then history from 17-year-old Lamine Yamal. The teenage sensation becoming the youngest ever goal scorer in an El Clasico when he rifled his shot high into the net. And the player who set him up, Rafinha, made it 4. Real Madrid could have matched Barca's unbeaten La Liga record tonight, but this result now leaves them 6 points behind the leaders.